Namaste, humanity. Today we're going to talk about duality, about light and dark, frequency, about um, fear, about um, what is it really uh, to be fearful of the dark. I'm just going to give you examples of what I went through in my own life, and that although it wasn't as fearful as people think, all right, it is more of the moment by moment experience when one is extremely fearful, especially when you're caught off guard in a moment of being fearful. You know, everything in your mind just run wild. Because you don't know what to expect next moment by moment. I'm not even talking about uh, uh, a few minutes of fear. I'm talking about moment by moment. It comes as swiftly as it comes, and after that, for however long you're gonna feel the fear. You feel the frequency of fear. How fearful you're going to allow this to continue to experience. All right. Let's take for example. When I had this relationship back then. Uh, I was married to uh, this person. My grandmother told me before I got married to him. My grandmother told me that he was not a good person. But she said that to me only after I was married for quite a number of years, and she wasn't going to break the marriage up based on what she felt she knew about that person. Of course, I felt it too, but you know, you just felt that when you married the person, you felt that you can handle it. But when the moment arrives, that when you feel that the person is so that you fear what the person will do next is something that bring that actually bring out that will bring out so much fear in you that you feel that you just want to run. All right, you just want to run. So the difference between light and dark: light is when you feel that you are being loved. The light is when you feel that there's so much clarity. All right, the clarity will probably on the day when you on your wedding day, maybe, or when you were dating and you had good times. It may not be that often, but it's still some good times. All right. There's clarity. For me, clarity is light. Love is light. But as we age wisely, then you realize that balance is light. When you feel the balance, that you're able to accept the shadow or the dark within you. All right, we all have our own moments of being angry, of being frustrated, of being always up in our mind here, that we are always second guessing ourselves, that we did something wrong or we said something wrong, that those are the shadows. Those are the dark, uh, whatever you want to call it, but I call them shadows. All right. This type of duality between the light and dark, you know, it fluctuates every day. Every moment it fluctuates. When you're stressed at work, when you're stressed at work, you are down here. But when you arrive home and then you have a sense of what do you want to call it? A sense of familiarity. All right, familiarity is a place that you call home because you're familiar. There's something familiar about it. The smell of home or the decor that you have that is your favorite decor, or you have a comfortable bedroom where you have all your favorite stuff inside. These are the familiar, or some call it contentment, that you're in a safe place. That's your home. It's your safe place. So when you arrive home, you are at a higher frequency. But if you're stressed at work or in school or outside in a crowded places whereby you don't feel safe, then your frequency is down here. All right, your frequency, our frequency fluctuates every day. Some days you may have a good day at work because you feel that you did accomplish something, or you got a praise from your boss or from your colleague, you know, or your colleagues are being nicer to you, or they said something to validate you or your work or something like that, so you're up there. But when you reach home, if you have children, you have like children crying, wanting your attention, this and that, then your stress level comes down, your frequency comes down. So that means you're at a very stressful moment whereby, after work, after a hard day's work, you come home to this with your children crying, or they didn't do their homework or something like that, right? So this is the frequency of uh light and dark in different moment of your day. All right. uh to talk about my stressful moment, frankly speaking, I don't really have that much of a stressful moment. Even when I was growing up, back in those days, we were very poor. All right, we were very poor, and we were living with my grandmother. She had, she had a huge home with 8 bedrooms, eight bedrooms, and a huge kitchen and a huge laundry room, and we had a very nice um big well at the back of our home compound. Okay. Um, and my grandmother actually had 17 children, huge family, you know, 11 sons and 6 daughters. I learned to cope, to live with everyone, you know, with my mother. This is my maternal grandmother. She was such an elegant and tall and beautiful lady, but very, very, very strict. Very strict, you know. And it wasn't easy to live under the same roof with her, basically because she had a very strong character. She was regal like a queen. Whatever she said is the law in the house. All right, those were the extreme growing up in an extreme environment, and having to live with uncles and their wives. It wasn't easy. All right, those are called the. I grew up with shadow shadow moments, not every day, but still shadow moments whereby, you know, I was I was like, taught, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to perform, you have to be very good, you have to be very good with housework, everything that the young girl must learn to do before she reaches a certain age, and then you get married off, and but you must perform. You must learn how to sew, you must learn how to stitch small things, bags, or whatever. Then you must learn how to do regular housework, of course. You have to be very, very, very hard working, you know so I grew up. I had to learn a lot of things, before I could be a child. I I had two younger brothers. I was the oldest at home, and my two siblings were like, age gaps were like 2 years apart. And during our back in those days, there weren't any kindergarten for me. All right, so I was like, at home doing whatever a child was supposed to do, until when my younger brother had to go to kindergarten, and that was about 4+ years old, and I was just 6. I was just 6. I had to feed him, shower him, get him ready for school, get him something, get him ready for kindergarten, and I had to take him. I had to take him to school, and that went on. And then later on, I had another younger brother. All right, so I became like a mother to my two younger brothers. All right. Um, if they get naughty, I would have a cane running around chasing after them, because my mother told me to do that. All right. So that was, when before I was 10 years old, I was looking after my two younger brothers. Those were the days when, I, I mean, I still do have playtime during those days, during the weekends when my cousins would come over and visit. We have so many cousins. So those shadow moments were when I have to be like an adult before I was 10 years old. I'm sure that most of the baby boomers, you will understand this, all right? It is regardless from which country or nation or which part of the world you're from. I'm sure that most of you would have gone through this back in the 1960s. So growing up, we were forced to grow up before our 10, 20 years before our time, you know, and life was very strict. All right, you have to do this and you have to do that. So when it comes to adulthood, we bring all this we bring all the stuff with us into our adulthood, and then our sense of shadow moments starts to increase. It gets darker, if you were, I mean, for lack of better word, right? um the shadow moments became darker in the sense that with the people that we choose to be with. All right, so like what I've said before in my previous videos, there aren't any right or wrong. All right, we chose the path that, I mean, the stuff that we want to learn, our soul lessons, before we incarnate onto this school earth, right? And the people that we choose to be with, let it be dating or let it be married to or friends with, you know, in in school we don't have a choice. If you're in a class of 40 or 42 students, you don't have a choice, you know. If there's a class of 42 students, that you have to work and be with 41 other students for at least half a day. All right, for at least half a day. So you have those days whereby, you know, I was bullied when I was in school. You know, people who likes to talk, who likes to gossip. You know, they have nothing else better to do with their life. Maybe they were from a well-to-do family whereby they don't have to do housework like I did, right? So I can understand their situation, that they were very loved and in a very peaceful family situation, right? So they like to yap all the time. So in school I was bullied. All right. So those were the shadow days, because when you're young, all right, the stressful moment is not as heavy or darker than when you are an adult. So the balance between light and dark as a child, the only thing that you can do is to keep quiet. All right. I mean, for girls, you know, I've been in convent school all my education life, you know, convent schools, and then we were like, we were taught by nuns. All right, you have to be this, you have to be that, as if at home being strict wasn't enough. I have to be in a convent school for so many years. You know, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to sit up straight, you have to tuck your feet underneath your chair and blah 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 blah. All right. So this you have to conform to those other rules again outside of your home life. So when you're in school, you get bullied, all right? You get bullied. And then, you know, then you find that you really hate going to school. You really don't like to go to school, you know, because of the bullies in school, right? One or two or three, whatever, whoever, you know, they come and go, all right? But in any way, it is still stressful for a child. All right, it is like nowadays when you have like cell phones and stuff like that and computers, and the parents allow the children to go online on social media platforms like Facebook and whatever, TikTok, things like stuff like that. And some children may go online to post certain things, all right, and then after that they don't like. I was told by my daughter that it's happening quite expensively, in the sense that, you know, most of the cultures, they the children, because because of these modern day gadgets, right, they allow their children to have like playtime. So they have social media platform, posting this, posting that, post on TikTok, post on whatever that they are allowed to. And some of them get bullied, right? And maybe one or two of them got bullied until they can't take it, right? And then they commit suicide. Now this is the darkest form of light and dark frequency, because the parents don't keep an eye. Maybe because the parents are too busy, you know, work, and then they have a maid or or caregiver to watch over them, you know. So, you know, the parents can't be with them every minute or every hour to check on them, what are they doing, you know. So now these children they are very smart, right? They will go online and then they will post this and post that, because they find that it's a lot of fun to you know, show what they like or what they have, that kind of thing, right? But some of them got bullied, and maybe some of them committed suicide, right? So uh, the message is that for parents or caregivers, or, you know, grandparents or relatives or mates who are looking after the children, to please take extra care, you know, take extra care and keep an eye on them. And the parents also need to, you know, be on the uh, be more vigilant, to ask your children, what are you up to, what have you been doing, which social platform are you on, and then you take a look at the post, all right, and then look at the comments that the people are giving out, that other children are giving out about what they're posting, if they're bullied on online, that kind of thing. It is very important nowadays with all these gadgets. There are things, people on YouTube looking for children, so you all please be careful. Don't just think that is all right. Nothing is all right, because this, as we are transition as humanity is transitioning towards a higher consciousness, all right, the timeline split is almost, I can feel it, it's already here. The first wave of uh the first the first wave of light workers and star seeds, all right, they have already been activated, and then the the timeline shift is already happening. All right. So as this is happening, our current reality is running concurrently, simultaneously, side by side, with a negative timeline. All right. With a negative AI timeline. So please, parents, be on the lookout for your children. All right. Be more vigilant and be more alert. All right. Be more attentive to your children, and mostly teenagers. All right. Please, they they are very emotionally, they can be very emotionally triggered. So please watch over them and ask them every day, how are they feeling, you know what are you doing, what have you been up to, that kind of thing. So please be more vigilant during this time, because the dark forces are now, all right, uh fighting for souls to join the negative timeline. All right. Please be very, very careful with your children. All right. Um, even adults, even most adults also, they can't control themselves. They watch the regular news about any kind of global war, nuclear war, whatever the media is telling them, they believe everything. Don't talk about children, even adults also. They believe that the news media is always telling them the truth, which is a whole load of rubbish. It's just plain rubbish. All right. You have to ask your heart. You have to ask your heart. When you're reading news, you ask your heart. Do I feel fear? If I feel fear, I should stop watching the news. If I feel fear all the time, say, oh, this is going to happen, that is going to happen. If you're feeling this, can you imagine the children? The poor children, the dark forces psycho human beings, right? If they can psycho adults, can you imagine what's happening with the children? So please don't allow your children to go online so often. If they go online, make sure that you're with them and watch them what they're doing. Don't turn on the news about war and all the negatives on TV for your children to watch. You are putting them in the shadow land, in the shadow frequency, for no rhyme or reason. There is no reason for parents to put their children in a situation, all right, to listen to all those garbage on TV news. So this light and dark frequency, as adults, we also sometimes make decisions or make our choices, right? And then we head into a marriage, and then we say, oh dear, after so many years, right? The frequency doesn't meet. There's no match at all right? Your spouse could be somewhere there, come back stressed from work, or you don't see your spouse every day. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't, depending on the kind of job that he's doing, or the kind of job that you're doing, all right? So every day is fluctuating. So after a while, after a certain number of years, right, you find that you are out there somewhere and he's down there somewhere, and then you don't see eye to eye, you know then for people who are in a religious who are in a religious family system, right? They don't want to separate from each other because of children, because of religion, because of this and because of that. All right. But you have to understand, you do not meet. You do not meet each other's frequency, So you're at loggerheads all the time. You are contradicting each other all the time. Uh, and and that is the consciousness uh, uh, contradiction. All right, the frequency, you could be on this frequency, all right, thinking that, oh, this one is always in the wrong, or this one is always up there and harping on you, you are in the wrong, or your in-law is telling you you're in the wrong, or vice versa, right? So there are fluctuations. Now during this transition towards this timeline shift, you know now they call it the trifurcation, the positive timeline, the negative timeline, and the neutral timeline. All right, trifurcation. You have to prepare yourself, even if, like, any one of us have difficulties to be balanced with your spouse or with your in-laws or with your friends or with your family or relatives. It is very difficult because now at this time, this frequency is extreme. This frequency now is extremely volatile. But first and foremost, you must come first. All right, you must come first. You must arrive at a balance, regardless of whatever the external situation is. The external situation between you and your boss, or you and your colleagues, or you and your family, you and your spouse, you and your children. All right, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have to find a balance within yourself. All right, you have to find a balance. Things that are trivial, you just forgive and release. Things that are trivial, very, very trivial. All right. You just have to forgive. Forgive and release, forgive, release. Right now, the frequency between the dark forces that is trying to harvest the souls of humanity, okay? You have to understand this is a very serious and very, very important situation right now. You have to learn to balance. All right, the shadow dark side of us or of other people, you have to learn. You have to come face to face with it and acknowledge it, and then you learn to find a balance, and then you release however much you can release. You can release however from small steps. All right, you just release, 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 release. You have to release everything. That's how you transmute negative energy, negative frequency from the dark forces. Release anything that comes to your mind, and ask you to react. You just say, null and void, or you just tell them to get lost, and then you release, release, release. But at the same time, you learn to balance yourself, you learn to balance your frequency from within. You also learn to shield and protect yourself. You ask your guardian angels to shield you, protect you. You ask Father, Mother God to protect you. You ask your Creator to protect you. You ask our one infinite Creator to protect you. Or your ancestors. All right, they are all in the higher realms, and there's no such thing as hell. All right, there's no such thing as hell. Nobody is in hell. Hell is when you keep on imprisoning yourself in your mind and say that you are not worth it. You're not worth any kind of love because you're this. You are not intelligent because you think that you're this, or you don't have a certain certificate, that kind of thing. You have to release all of this. If you want to uh, uh, if you want to be in a positive timeline, or even in a neutral timeline, because you feel that you are not enough, you don't have that, you have not established a foundation of self-love, Your self-love, all right? Your self-love, that means you are enough. If you have not arrived to that situation, all right, you just release all the hurt and pain, release all the shadow part of you, but you must face it and say it is all right. I was very nasty, to my colleague, but it's all right because I felt that and I acknowledge that, and I tell myself, say, I can be a better person now because you have realized it. So you say that I can be a better person now because I realized that I may have overreacted and I wasn't reflective enough within my sacred heart space, within my soul. This is an earthly experience. You acknowledge the anger, you acknowledge the frustration, you acknowledge whatever it is that you are feeling that you need to reconcile within yourself first. Within yourself first, you must do that, okay? Acknowledge and reconcile within yourself and keep the balance. So back to shadow and light, dark and light. Balance. Be in a reflective mode, reflect. Think about things, connect with your heart. How do I feel? You ask yourself, you not only ask your child or your children or your husband or your wife or your friends, how are you feeling? Are you all right? All right, how are you feeling? What happened the other day? Da 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 da. After the situation, how are you feeling? Be kind. All right, be kind to others, be kind to yourself, be sweet and kind to yourself. Okay, be kind to your neighbors, be kind to your colleagues. Keep in touch with them. Just send them a text. How are you? I just want to keep in touch with you and say that, I just remembered you and I just want to say hello, that kind of thing. All right. Or send some nice images with flowers. This is for you. All right. Do nice things. Do nice things. All these small little things helps you to transit to the positive timeline. The young souls, like I've said before, the young souls will either stay on the neutral timeline or the fourth dimension. And the higher advanced souls will transition towards, will ascend towards the fifth dimension and above. All right. So I know it's for some lay people very hard to understand about dimensions. All right. You can do your own homework. The third dimension is where we are at right now with all the messy, chaotic governmental systems, the heavy, extreme duality, right and wrong, you are this, so I'm going to bomb your country or nations, this and that. But you have to understand that uh, right now, uh, uh, those who are heading the whole global humanity into the positive timeline. They are stopping all the so-called wars, conflicts. They are stopping all of this. If the negotiation was implemented, but the other party is not adhering to it, then the light forces will try their very best to keep the peace, to stop all the wars, to stop all the conflicts. But the media is still broadcasting wars. There are no wars right now. Everything has been stopped. All right. Because the light forces are getting humanity to balance between light and dark. All right. To keep the balance so that humanity and planet Earth and Mother Earth can can ascend towards higher frequency. Okay. Right now, in our here and now, the light and the dark, all right? There's always a tug of war right now, extremely volatile. You have to understand this, extremely volatile, light and dark. The extreme duality is balancing now. Now, but what is coming in right now, on the way, right now, is the cosmic frequency that is arriving out, which is arriving out from our local universe. Our local universe is known as Nebadon. 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 Okay. Nebadon is being run by our godparents, Father, Mother, God. All right. Then all our archangels, our angelic family. All right. So our local universe, Nebadon, is being co-created by our God families, Father, Mother, God, our archangels, our angelic family. Now, when we say angelic family, it is the same as the galactic family. The galactic family, the light forces, all right? The light forces. And planet Earth is the last planet to be liberated. So once we are being liberated from the dark forces, we would have already ascended towards higher consciousness. That's why I say the Terrans are the people who are from planet Earth. They are not star seeds. They are the native origin on planet Earth. Light work. Most of the light workers, most of the star seeds are not native of planet Earth. All right. Our origins are not from here. We are from other planets. But we incarnated on planet Earth is to learn. We are here to learn. We are here to learn to raise our light quotient to be wiser. And to tell you the truth, most of the starseeds and light workers, for us, it was very hard. It has been very hard for us and still is very hard for us to be on planet Earth. To learn the ways of humanity, all right? To learn the ways of humanity, to learn how to navigate within the third dimension. It hasn't been easy, you know. Self mastery hasn't been easy. Self mastery, you know, in walking the fine line between light and dark. All right, it hasn't been easy. From my personal experience, all right, facing the extreme, I won't say shadow this time. I would say the extreme dark frequency that I had to go through. All right. I was almost thrown from the ninth story building. I was almost thrown down. I was grabbed by my ankle. All right. I was grabbed by my ankle. I was dragged. I was dragged underneath my armpit from the bedroom through the living room over all the furnitures to the front gate. And my ankles were grabbed. And I was lifted upward and thrown outside of the apartment, upside down. Upside down. I was literally upside down. Okay. My blouse buttons were open up. I was dragged from the bedroom across the living room, across the furnitures, all right, up to the up to the front gate. The fear that I had to go through, being dragged for that moment, and being thrown out of the apartment from my ankle, being hung upside down and thrown out. All right. Good thing that the balcony was a little bit far away. If not, I would have been down the nine story down. Now that was the darkest moment of my life. Darkest. So humanity, you have to understand this. Nobody deserves to be treated in any way. All right. The brutal way, with sheer force. And my family call it the devil, that he was the devil. All right. No matter how angry you are, you should never react with a person. Never react in such a and brutal and very very painful way to the person, to anybody. Never ever react that way. All right. Physical abuse, yes, it's extremely hard to reconcile it within you, and forgiveness is even harder. Believe me, forgiveness was even extremely hard to forgive, because not only was I ever physically abused, I was also emotionally abused, mentally abused, physically abused. All right, those were the darkest moments of my life. But then I managed to find a balance in between. Somehow I survived. It is like a spiritual force that was already ingrained within me, within my DNA. You know, um, for survival during that time, I was behaving like a victim. Yeah, I mean that's how the regular people would call it, being victimized, right? Being victimized. But I didn't feel that I was victimized, because my first thought was how to resolve the situation, because I was flung outside the apartment and my two children were still inside the apartment. And of course, as a mother, my first thought is always my children, that my children are not with me. My children are still stuck inside there. Can you imagine that my girls were mistreated in such a way by their father, that they were hung and held against the wall with his hand on the throat, all right, with such brute force on a child. So how is a mother going to forgive the father for treating her children like that? That was the darkest moment of my life too. All right. They also had to go through physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, whatever you want to call it. They went through it. I went through it. Right. But the strength of a mother, the courage of a mother, is always her children first. I am outside and my children, they are inside. What's gonna happen? So what I'm saying is that there must be a balance. No matter how much hurt, how much pain that anyone can go through, you must find a balance quickly, as soon as you can, as soon as you can recover. All right. With broken buttons and disheveled hair and crying and wondering what what actually happened. It just caught me by surprise, right? My Even with all of that, I my first thought always my children. So as soon as I can, or anybody can, you all have to find a balance. You all have to quickly center yourself, all right, and then start from there. For me, I start with my children. I start with my children first, and then I start to balance. Find a balance. Find a truth somewhere within yourself, and say, okay, what must come first? My children must come first. Since I wasn't thrown down nine floors, since I wasn't thrown 9 floors down, right? I'm still alive. My children, it anchored me first, anchored me in the here and now. All right, my children first. I'm outside and they're inside. So what am I going to do? So this is a very contradictive situation between light and dark. I don't like to tell people. I didn't even tell my parents what happened until so much later when I had to go to the medical, to my regular GP, and I also went to the police station to make a report. All right. So I went to see my GP first, and I told my GP what happened the night before, and then get his medical paper, his checkup, everything to confirm. And then you get a medical report, and then I had to go to the police station to make a report. All right. That time I didn't have any money to get a lawyer for anything. When you do in this world, you don't have money, yeah. There are a lot of things that you can't do. All right. And in certain countries and nations, they don't look after the women at all. You know, they don't look after the woman at all. So you want to talk about light and dark? Do what you must. Do what you must to get your life in order. But in order for that, you must center yourself and be balanced. You must be balanced. And now, even when the transition towards higher consciousness for humanity, the timeline split that's going to happen, you have to be even more balanced. All right, you have to learn to center yourself. What must come first? Now is your soul. Your soul must come first. Your soul must come first. That will show you the way, that will open the door and pave the way for you, which timeline you are going to. All right. So now I'm showing you uh, the difference between the very dark, painful situation, how you balance it, how you center yourself. What is it that you need to focus first in order to come into balance? For me, it was my children back then, not myself, not myself. My children come first. So you have to find something that will allow you to keep in balance and focus. All right, be straight, be firm. And later on, when you get your documents right and pave your path right, then you know where you're going for a separation, divorce, or whatever you need to do, or quit from the company, or get out of school and do something else. Whatever it is that you need to do, get that one focus that's going to anchor your mind in balance. For me, it was my children back in those days. Now, my soul comes first. And then I can help humanity. Then I can speak out what I'm feeling, what I had to go through, and how I managed to get into balance and focus on that and not get lost in watching the lame news media about war and about this. You can forget about newspapers. You can forget about the news. Don't watch TV. Even if you want to watch TV about certain movie or some documentary about Animal Planet or whatever, that's better still. All right, keep your mind off the news. There's no point. All right, it is even bring you more fear and more chaos. It is going to make you even more imbalanced. So these are not good avenue for you to keep the balance. Go for a half day outing or full day outing or a few days staycation. Stay within your own town. Go and stay in a nice hotel for 1 or 2 nights with your family. Just not do anything. No cooking, no laundry, no nothing. Just for a few days, relax. Staycation, all right? Staycation. Focus on that. Keep the balance. If you're in a situation right now when you really don't know what to do, ask. Ask your angels. If there's somebody that you can have a chat with, heart to heart talk, somebody who knows better, somebody who might have gone through what you have gone through, or go on the internet and look for help, about abuse or about something that you have no clue what to do with. All right, you or ask somebody who is older than you, who is wiser, you know focus on something that you need to anchor, so that you know what is it that you need to do right in the here and now, and what are you going to do when as you move further along the day or the week or the month. uh, uh, Use your heart. Your heart must come first. That's where your soul resides. That's where your spiritual spark is at. That's your divine spark of our creator is at. Yeah, you have to focus on that. Use your heart to show you your path, your direction, where you need to go next. you know if you have a gut feeling about something, that you feel topsy-turvy in your stomach and you feel that something is not right, and if you know what is that, then you stay away, stay far away. Do whatever you can, spend as less time as the place where you think that you're going to have some kind of contradictions or conflict or whatever. All right, you have to stay away. All right, and if you know that your frequency is not going to meet, all right, you have to make the decision to move on soon. Otherwise, your soul, you have no direction. Which timeline are you going to, right? It's so important right now between light and dark. So please, humanity, please keep the focus with your heart space. Connect your mind with your heart. All right. I will always repeat this. Connect your mind with your heart. When you are able to connect to whatever decisions or choices that you're going to make, always use your heart to make your decisions, because then you know that it's going to be the right path, the right choice. Don't use your mind. Your mind logic can be hijacked. All right, your mind can be hijacked. Please don't just use your mind. You must use your heart and stay grounded. Go for walks. Go and find a patch of grass, sit down barefooted or lean against a tree, ask for guidance, this is how you ground, all right? Or else you get a frequency tool, that will allow you to, if you can't meditate, I can't meditate, I have to tell you that. I cannot meditate. I cannot sit down and no. No, thank you. I cannot do that. But I do ground myself very often because when I connect my mind with my heart, all right, I connect my heart and my mind with the galactic central sun. That's where the divine frequency is coming from. You just have to say it. If you can't imagine where the galactic central sun is, it's all right. You just look at our sun. Connect your heart and mind with the sun. That's where the frequency will come up here, and it will connect with the sun. And then when the light comes down onto you, you come down to you go through all your chakras and go through your hands and your legs down to the sole of your feet, okay, the bottom of your feet. And then you imagine the strong golden light from our sun down from our head, the top of our head, our crown, all the way to our heart. Let it rest here. Make sure it anchors in your heart. And then you bring it down slowly to your spine, to your sacral, down your sacral chakra, all the way down your legs, down to the bottom of your feet. So when it comes down to the bottom of your feet, you imagine the bright light from the sun that you brought from the sun down inside of you, down into the core of Mother Earth. All right, into the core. That means imagine the round Earth and the center. That's the core. So when your light comes from the sun down to your head and to your throat, all right, your eyes, your throat, your heart, rest down to your belly button there, down your hips, down to your legs, then to the bottom of your feet. All right. So imagine the golden light from your feet, from the sole of your feet down. Bring it down. Imagine, like a small movie. Bring it down to the core of Mother Earth. All right. And then you loop around. So when you loop around, imagine that there is a bar there at the core of Mother Earth. Okay. Imagine that there's a bar there. There's a T bar. Okay. There's a T bar. So when the light goes down into the center of Mother Earth, you loop. That means you anchor. You anchor and ground. You loop and you loop a few times. And then after looping and grounding and securing the core, that means you are one with Mother Earth. So when she ascend, you also ascend, okay? Okay? Even if you don't ascend, even if you go to the neutral timeline, it is still safe. Don't go to the negative timeline, because the neutral and the positive timeline is the organic divine spark timeline. All right. So when you loop and then you imagine the golden light coming up all the way to where you are at the sole of your feet, the bottom of your feet. All right. And then from the bottom of your feet, then it goes up your legs, up to your hips, up to your belly button, and then up to your heart. So this time you're coming up. So it's from your heart, from your sacred heart to your throat. Okay, you have to understand that when it comes out through your throat, that means your divine spark is coming up here. Okay, it goes up and down. There's always two way, all right? And up to your eyes, that's where your psychic core is at. That's where your vision, that you can receive message from your guardian angel, from our creator, from your ancestors. Okay, this is very important. So when it comes up here and then it goes up to the crown, so when it goes up to the crown, the golden light comes out within, and then it goes out into the sun that we are looking at now. Okay, imagine it goes to the sun. So when you see the round sun again, imagine it's like the earth. All right, the center of the sun, imagine that there's a T bar there. Okay, now use this golden light to arrive to the golden sun, the core of the golden sun with the T bar, and then you anchor it a few loops. Loop it a few times. Ground, anchor, and secure. and then you loop it all the way down into our earth, onto you, through the crown, all the way down again. The same system. And then you arrive at the core center of Mother Earth, and then you loop ground anchor secure again. And then you keep looping, you keep doing that. Okay, you do this little movie, this little video. This is how you ground. Because when you ground like this, you only have to command and say that, I am ascending according to my soul's highest purpose. My soul's highest purpose. All right, you have to say this, your soul's highest purpose. If you do not know where you're going, you only have to say this. Then the divine light from our central sun will read your frequency and will send you to the timeline that you are on par with, that you agree with, that you're in balance with. All right, this is very, very important. Even if like you're in a situation right now, or you're in a conflict with somebody, or you're in a dire situation like I was in back in those days, or you are in a you're in a violent situation, this grounding, okay, this system is going to help you with your situation. Because once you are balanced, all right, you must meet this frequency. When you are balanced, all right, whatever conflict that you have is won't be able to meet your frequency, because your light is brighter. When you keep on looping like this, your frequency is very high. You have to understand this. That means you are meeting the frequency of the universe. You're meeting the frequency of the positive light forces. All right, when you're grounding like this, creating this light code. All right, this light code from the galactic central sun to you, and grounding into the core of Mother Earth, and you loop and you ground, anchor, and secure. You must remember, ground, anchor, and secure in the core of Mother Earth. Then you ground, anchor, and secure within your sacred heart. Your sacred heart, right? Ground, anchor, and secure, and then you bring it up into your this, and then up to the galactic sun, into the sun, and then you ground, anchor, secure in the galactic central sun. You ground, anchor, and secure. Okay, that's how you look, and that's how you stay in a positive timeline. That's how you stay, even if you can't, if you feel that you're a young soul, or you're an earth Terran, that you are a native on planet Earth, that you will still stay on a neutral timeline, which is safe. Because once you're staying in this neutral timeline, you're still in an organic timeline, a divine organic timeline connected to source. Because if you are in the negative timeline with a negative AI omega, that is inorganic and synthetic. And that is a transhumanism cyborg timeline, machine timeline without a soul, inorganic. Okay, you have to be very careful. So when you do this loop, you have to do your focus intent. That is your manifestation, that is to your organic divine soul purpose, your highest soul purpose. All right, so if you don't understand, it is all right. Right now you have to write it down, write it down. Okay, you can draw you can draw the sun, you can draw earth, then you write your name down, or you can draw a person with 2 arms and 2 legs. Then you use a yellow color or orange color, all right, from the galactic central sun, which is round. You draw an X or a T there, and then you draw circle, loop, ground, anchor, secure, ground, anchor, secure. Then you draw the line down to you, your head. You draw your head and your body, 2 arms and 2 legs, right? Very, very simple. A circle, your head, your body, 2 arms and 2 legs, right? So you draw the orange line, or the orange color pencil or yellow color pencil, from the center of the sun. You draw the line down to your head. Okay, the picture of your head. All right, and then you draw the line down, and then there's a heart there, right? You loop, 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 and then you ground anchor secure, and then you bring it down to your legs. Then you bring it, and then you draw the Mother Earth, right? The center core. You draw an X or a T, and then you draw the line of the orange line or yellow line, and then you ground anchor secure. That means you draw a circle. One time, two times, three times is enough. All right. Ground anchor secure. And then after looping, after you draw a few times, then you draw the loop up. Or you can use two colors. You can use yellow color from the sun, draw down to your head, down to your, you draw a heart there. Then you loop a few times, all right? And then down your legs down, to the core of Mother Earth. And then you draw a T line or an X. And then you draw 2 or 3 circles. Then on your way up, you use the orange. You use orange color pencil or orange pen. Then you draw it up down to the sole of your feet, the bottom of your feet. You draw the line up to your heart. Again, circle, ground, anchor, secure. And then you bring it up to the sun, the core center of your sun. Then you draw an X or a T bar, and then you draw the orange circle you green. And then you keep, if you can't visual, you draw it on a big piece of paper. Excuse me. You draw it on a big piece of art paper. This is my art paper, right? That's the galactic sun. That's our sun. Okay. You just draw the sun. You bring it down to Mother Earth here. Then you draw yourself near to the Earth there. So yellow line down all the way down to your top of your head. Then down to your heart shape there. Then you circle. You bring it down to the core of Mother Earth. You circle. You come back up to under your feet, your sole of your feet. Then you circle at your sacred heart, and then you bring up to your head. Then you bring up to the central, to the sun again, circle. All right. So let's say this is your art paper. You just do that. Your central, this is the sun. This is Mother Earth. Circle. You draw your picture near the earth. So you draw yellow color all the way down to the top of your head. You bring it down, and then you bring it down, and then there's a Mother Earth, and then you use the orange color and you bring it all the way up again. So when you put the picture in front of you, each time you want to ground yourself, you just loop like that, loop. All right, you just loop like that, loop like an oval shape. You loop like that. Okay. So if you live in like big and tall apartments, and you can't be on the ground many times, you just imagine, get creative and get the big piece of art paper and do this. Whenever you have the time, you just keep grounding. All right. Try to do it in the morning and at night. If you can't, just do it once a day. Find time to do it, or even you can just take the photocopy the picture and just bring it to you at work during lunchtime. You can do that also. It is like you keep doing this, like it doesn't take you more than a few minutes, actually. When you get used to this looping system, right, in grounding yourself, it doesn't take you more than a few minutes. You don't have to kneel down to beg, okay? You are entitled. You are entitled to this grounding. You are entitled to the divine frequency of our Creator through our sun. All right? Our sun is a living being. It's a divine sentient being. Getting the light codes from our Creator. You understand this? We are all divine beings. We are all connected with the sun. So if you can't imagine, it's all right. You just draw the picture, and then every day you look at it, and then you imagine yourself grounding. Okay, this is very, very important. You have to do this every day. Because then when you're grounding, all right, regardless of what conflict you have in your office or outside, or with outside people, or with the common people outside that you might come in touch with, or when you're driving, all right, If they are at a low frequency with contradicting frequency, like they want to be mean to you or whatever, they cannot interact with you because you are up there. Okay, the troublesome people will be down here. All right, all right. There are beings that is inorganic. They don't have a soul, according to what I've been uh observing. All right, through so many through researching so many videos. All right, there are many people and light workers and people who has observed that there are people here on planet Earth that doesn't have a soul, about 30% of the total population. You understand this? Out of 8 billion people, there are 30% of them without walking around without souls. Okay, the dark forces are using them to create problem so that humanity cannot ascend, so that humanity cannot break the current dark matrix. All right, they want to keep on creating problem so that humanity's light quotient will, they want to bring it down so that they can maintain their with their dark acts, their frequency of wanting to be the ruler of humanity. All right, they are down here. They cannot reach you if you ground yourself and you're sincere with your heart. We humans are generally good people. We are generally good people. Okay, so when we are generally good people, and when you start to do your grounding, connect with our sun. Okay, that's emitting divine light codes onto planet Earth. Why do you think that they are spraying all this chemical, this chemtrail thing on our in our sky? They think that they can block the light quotient from the light frequencies from reaching us, creating all kinds of problem in our environment. All right, but they fail. Do you think that our creator will allow this? No. All right, as long as you focus on your grounding route, you know keep looping from our sun to you, because we are all pillars of light. You understand this? With our sacred heart space, right? We are all pillars of light. We are divine beings. All right, we have our divine spark within us. All right, so imagine that we are pillars of light, because all this golden light that's coming from the sun coming down with us. All right, we are walking talking pillars of light. You have to understand this. This is your divine right. This is your divine sovereign right. You must understand this and believe this. So when you believe this, and when you're doing this, anchoring and securing yourself, being in connect being staying in connected with our divine creator, our father, mother, God, our angelic galactic family. All right, when you keep on doing this, you will stay on the organic timeline. That's all you need to understand. That's all. Okay, so when you keep grounding, you are up here. All right, all those people that's trying to bring you down or give you conflict, they are down here. You will never meet. You will never meet. So keep this looping. All right, keep this oval shape looping. Yellow line from the galactic central sun coming down to you, all the way down. Connect all the way down to your feet, and loop, ground anchor secure, and coming up to on the core of Mother Earth, and then you come back up again, and then you loop. You keep looping this. You keep doing this path. Okay, keep doing this loop. Anything that is nasty of local of low frequency, all right, they cannot come in connect. They come and they cannot give you trouble. They cannot connect with you, because you are up here and they are down there. Just remember this. You only have to do this, okay? That's the purpose of doing this, of this doing video, this podcast, is to get all of you, whether you believe it or not, never mind. Just do it, okay? You have nothing to lose. You really have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. All right? Please, just do it. Ground yourself by walking barefooted, or just do whatever you can. Walk on the beach or whatever. Or, sit with your back, or sit under a tree, or sit with the back leaning against the trunk of a tree, Sit near a tree. And then you do your grounding, do your looping for a few minutes. And then you can take your nature walk, Go and enjoy the scenery. Go and look at the river. Go and look at the sky. All right? Okay? So please be mindful and be self-aware. All right? Whatever happens, it doesn't matter. Just keep the calm and focus. Focus, intent, and keep balance. Keep the center core of yourself in balance. That's the most important thing. Don't react. Please reflect. All right? I love you all so much. Take good care of yourself. Be sweet and kind to yourself. All right? Be more aware of your children's environment, what they are doing. Ask your family how they are feeling. And try to stay in balance and stay calm and don't react. Okay? Love you all so much. Take good care. Always love and pray for all of you. Namaste.